Obviously the first thing I'm going to talk about is Saturday night. And Saturday night was extremely, extremely disappointing. We've got high expectations for our program, and as high as they are, in my opinion, probably with our fans and our alumni, they're higher within our program. So, we hold ourselves to a higher standard than what was on display Saturday night, and that's not taking anything away from Texas State. They did a great job, and this is regardless of who we played. We didn't play up to our expectations, and that was disappointing. It was disappointing, and I said this after the game, for our fans, for our student body, for the community, for our seniors, with everybody involved in our program. Moving forward, again, the game was 3 days ago, and we've got another one 4 days from now. So we've put it behind us, and we're moving on to Louisiana Tech. And, it's as disappointed as I am and I was, and everybody within our program is and was. It is one game. And I've said this before. I said this before the game. At some point, you don't judge a program, a team on one opportunity. Again, you want to look back at the end of the season, and then you'll have a feel for how the year went. And, we've got a team coming in here in 4 days. Obviously, everybody knows they have not played a game yet this season due to the hurricane and canceling their opener last week. But it's a team that everybody nationally is said is this year's BCS buster. And they've got a tremendous coaching staff. They've got almost all their starters from last year's team returning. It's a little bit, when you look at their schedule from last year, they started off 1-4, and their one win in those first 5 games was in overtime. And then they ended up winning 7 straight and winning their conference championship. So, I think, again, I know there's a lot of examples of teams that have struggled early and have gone on to have tremendous seasons. And I think the team we're playing here Saturday night is as good as any. What I told our team yesterday is I don't care who we're playing Saturday night. And again, we all know we're playing Louisiana Tech, but whether we're playing Louisiana Tech or Louisiana State or Texas Texas Tech, regardless of the opponent, our opponent Saturday night, based on what we just did 3 days ago, is ourselves. And we've got to get things corrected. We've got to execute better. We've got to be prepared. We've got to have, and we do already have a great game plan, in my opinion, for Saturday night. It's already probably 70% of it was installed in yesterday's practice, and the final 30% will be installed in today's practice. But our coaches in all 3 phases have the game plan finished, and our players will get that this afternoon in meetings. So we're moving on, and I'm looking forward to the challenge Saturday night. And make no mistake, it's going to be a great challenge. Again, they've got talented players. It's a staff that's been together, and they've been there a couple years now. And again, coming off what they did last season, they've got quite a bit of momentum and quite a bit of confidence. And you look back on our team last year with all the experience we had and the team that won 13 games, and it took us 58 minutes to take the lead in that game last year and finally win it. So it'll be a tremendous challenge. I like where the team's at right now. We were out at practice yesterday for about an hour. We had good energy. We had good focus. We had good tempo on both sides, offensively and defensively. And we had good execution. So did we make mistakes Saturday night? Without question. I think everybody saw them. Are we taking the right steps in terms of the execution and game plan to get them fixed? I saw that yesterday. So I'm excited where we're headed. We'll have a 2-hour practice this evening in full pads. Again, like I mentioned earlier, finalize the game plan with our guys and move forward. And again, everybody knows what we got ahead of us Saturday, and everybody will be up for the challenge. Any questions?
Tony, on David Saturday night, it seemed like the pass protection was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it was a lack of confidence? Do you see anything mechanically? Do you see on film for the inaccuracy, or what do you kind of point to in that regard?
He never got into a rhythm. And when I make the statement, he never got into a rhythm, I think that needs to be interpreted a couple of ways. I thought the protection was excellent. I don't think early on we gave him an opportunity to make some easy throws. And people can say what they want. Well, here's a guy that started a bunch of games 2 years ago. He hadn't played college football in a game since November of 2010, and I'm not making excuses for anybody, but you still got to at least and say what you want. Everybody run on the field had a little anxiety, a little nervousness. It was the home opener. It was a sellout crowd. It was on TV, and it was new for a lot of guys. And I don't care if a guy was a true freshman or a guy was a fifth-year senior. It's the first game of the year, and I don't care if it was our team. Everybody on that field, both teams needed to get into a rhythm, and I feel like we could help him get some easy completions early, get some confidence, relax, and I didn't feel like he ever was able to get into a rhythm. We go 3 and out immediately, and they come down and they take the lead, and we get the ball back. We still don't have anything to where we just let him relax, maybe hand the ball off to Charles Sims and just kind of get some yards and maybe just get into the flow of the game a little bit, and that never happened.
You mentioned that you felt like you didn't need to fix anything on offense when you took the job. It's
Mm-hmm.
not broke. Do you feel like conceptually you changed things and that's why it went wrong? And do you feel like now with another switch you're going to get back closer to what you resembled conceptually in your own mind on Saturday?
No, we're going to get back to what it is in my mind supposed to look like. There's no question about that. And when you use the word conceptually we were the same. Philosophically, maybe not quite the same. Again, I think we've got to identify who our playmakers are offensively, and I think you saw some glimpses of that. Larry McDuffie, who's a true freshman, who ran 10.5 in high school in 100 meters, comes in and his very first college snap catches a 5-yard pass and takes it 59 yards on his own. So, I think we're able to identify some guys, like a Ryan Jackson, for instance. He played 6 plays, touched the ball 3 times and rushed for 22 yards, I believe, or somewhere around there. So we identified guys that can make plays. We got to get the ball in their hands. And we've got to be creative in doing so. I think, again, being around here now, going on my 5th year, you've seen some creativity, some outside-the-box thinking on what we do offensively, and that's been my background. I know people probably don't closely follow the kicking game as much, but I've always patterned myself and prided myself in what we did special teams-wise of being outside the box thinking, creative, doing things that no one's ever done before successfully. So we're going to get back to doing that.
Are you comfortable with the number of new receivers you have, and with David maybe getting accustomed to receivers? Are you comfortable with as much up-tempo? Is that something that maybe you have to look at a little and kind of see how it goes? We've looked at it. I like where the tempo is headed. We're going to be up tempo, and our receivers can do that. And did our receivers make mistakes Saturday night? Yes. And when you look at the ones that made mistakes, they're guys that back in May weren't even here yet. And a couple of them took their eyes off the quarterback, didn't get the check. A couple of them ran a route at the wrong depth. And again, that's part of it. You saw it all over the country this weekend, and with especially with newcomers. So we'll get that fixed. Tempo is something we're gonna stick with. That's an advantage to us. Who stuck out for you positively on Defensively, I think Philip Stewart played well. Derek Matthews played really well. We throw, again, and I've been talking about the guy now for a month, but we throw Trayvon Stewart in the game defensively somewhere around 25 snaps, and he was very, very active, always around the football, made a bunch of tackles, a couple for loss. So, and defensively, and I've had questions and I've had people ask about our defensive performance. Was it perfect? Not by any stretch of the imagination. Was it good enough to win Saturday night? I think so. What I think people need to take into account is because of our offensive performance, we've in the last couple of years we've had games where we've had an offensive time of possession of 17 minutes, but we've scored 70 points in those 17 minutes. We had the ball 16 minutes and scored 1 touchdown, which means our defense was on the field 44 minutes, just under 44 minutes. That's hard to do. And, when you come out in the second half and limit your opponent to 29 yards, to me, in the third quarter, we played the entire third quarter on Texas State's side of the 50 and came away with 3 points. And that we talked at halftime, fellas, we're down 17 points. We've been in worse situations at halftime before and come back and won. Obviously now, again, I said this after the game too, we've got inexperienced guys that haven't been in that situation. And, I thought our defense in the third quarter gave us a chance to come back in the game and win, which unfortunately we couldn't convert that field position into points.
You mentioned earlier about Louisiana Tech fans, this year's projected BCS roster.
Mm-hmm.
How do you prepare for a squad that's been sitting? You all have one game. What do you find him that will give you what you're looking for as far as preparing for this?
Well, that's a great question. And would you like, as a coach, would you like to have had already them play one game and have it on film? Absolutely. I'm sure they've got our video, and obviously we don't have anything recent on them, but we do have every game of theirs from last season. That's what we got to go off of. Again, they've had 0 changes on their coaching staff from last year. Most of their players are back, so you got to go into it knowing that they're going to do what they've done last year to be successful. And again, moving forward, and I know I've said this already, we play in 4 days, but moving forward, to me, we play ourselves this Saturday night. We've got to correct what we made mistakes on in this first game. We got to get everybody on the same page in understanding the game plan and what it's going to take to win, regardless of who we're playing. But that's how we got to attack it. We got to go off what they did last season. Mm-hmm.
What did you see then when you hired him, and what made you think now, just from what he's done at UTSA and Texas State, that it's a good fit as you put it yesterday?
Well, I've said this now for 8 or 9 months. One of the toughest, if not the toughest things, is becoming a head coach is assembling your staff, and that's 9 full-time assistants, that's graduate assistants, quality control coaches, director of player personnel, director of football operations. You have to put an entire staff together, and you do your due diligence. You conduct countless number of interviews with individuals face-to-face. You follow up on every reference possible of who people have worked with, who people have worked for, and then once you get within your staff and you got them all set, and you're working day to day, you get a pretty good feel for people. And I feel good about our staff right now. And Travis Bush has done a fantastic job in the short time that we've all been here together. And again, you may look at it and say, well, the guy was just a running back coach, and now he's basically taking over. I have got tremendous amount of confidence in Travis Bush and the rest of our offensive staff, as do our players, and I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to not only Saturday night, but the rest of the season. The 11 games that we're still promised this year. Again, it's you want to be. We've had one chapter of our book, okay? Chapter was a bad chapter, but we're not putting the book down. We're going on to chapter 2, and there's 12 total guaranteed, and we're going to read the whole thing, you know? So I'm excited to see where this offense evolves to here in 4 days.
Do you, input-wise, whether it's him or anyone else, do you continue to, on game day or in game, to have the input, or he'll do the play calling, but
Mhm.
how much input do you like to have? And then moving forward, is this something that at the end of the season, depending on what happens, is he looking at him long-term for this, or is this just for the end of the season?
My input primarily is during the week. And, you know, once the game starts, if I feel like I need to give input, then I will, and I did Saturday night. But, you know, my input, I am involved during the week, and, but once the game starts, our coordinators in all 3 phases are responsible to call the game. Again, if I have input defensively, offensively, or on special teams, I either give it in between series, I give it over the headset during the series, or I give it at halftime. I think that's, you know, that comes with the territory of being the head football coach. You know, in terms of long term, I'm not thinking long term yet. You know, I'm excited where we're at right now, and you know, I'm excited about where our staff is. I'm excited where our players are on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, with where we're at today. And again, we had a lot of energy at practice yesterday. Our focus was good, and our execution, specifically offensively, was the best it's been in a long time.
Tony, is this what you're going to be doing this week? Is this an offense that's already been installed, or are you having to reinstall? Are you reteaching? Can you kind of explain that whole process?
I would, without putting a whole lot of thought into anticipating that question, I'd use the word tweaking. So are there going to be some noticeable wrinkles? Yes. Are there going to be some wrinkles that are not noticeable to the person who was at our game Saturday night, who will be at our game this week? Absolutely. You know, there's a couple of route adjustments we got to make to improve some concepts that we've had in. So in that sense, you know, we're not completely scrapping what we've been doing. There's a couple of route variations. We just got to literally might adjust the depth a little bit. You might adjust an angle of a route. Just a couple things here and there, and then there's going to be, you know, some wrinkles as well. And again, I go back to what I said earlier of how I see this offense, what I know this offense to be, and my philosophy of players are more important than plays. Plays are overrated. We got to get the football into guys' hands that we know will make plays.
Do you see any comparison, or can you pull from your experience when you guys lost 2 quarterbacks in a game, had a week to get ready for Tulane, and then you kind of had a room to breathe and get it off? Is there any comparison with anything you have to change within that short of a time period?
To be honest with you, I don't think there's any comparison. I think those are 2 completely different situations, in my opinion. You know, we lost a senior starter, a junior backup, and then put in a true freshman who didn't know the offense. We had to teach him a limited amount, and then go down the road and see every blitz known to mankind. You know what I mean? I understand the question. I don't see a comparison at all, not with where we are right now.
How difficult do you think this is for your offensive players to get new offensive coordinator?
You know, again, I use the word transition, and it's been a popular word for the last 9 or 10 months. I don't think it is difficult. And again, you know, we're not going to come out Saturday night and run the wing tee. You know, I mean, we're going to do what we've been doing. So the kids are excited about the wrinkles and the direction we're headed.
Do you think that the fact that you're the new head coach here and all the transitions going on over the last 9 months will help with this current transition?
Again, I don't, you know, in my mind, no. I don't, you know, I don't think any of our players, even subconsciously, are like, wow, I just went through this in December, this will be okay. You know, I just, it's two totally different things. And again, we're not gonna try to reinvent the wheel by Saturday night, but we're gonna have a much nicer wheel in place on our vehicle Saturday night, if I may.
So on offense, anything, they lost a few on defense.
Mhm.
On offense, Hammer played well down the stretch last year, had their big.
Right.
You just kind of talk about what you see from them and where the important areas are that you guys will have to address with them.
Well, they're a veteran team, and they're similar to us, I think, on their offensive line, is that they got a bunch of starters back and a bunch of seniors on their offensive front, and their quarterback does a great job, you know, and he's not the one that you know, we played against earlier last season, but then they made the switch at quarterback and won those 7 straight, and he is really, really efficient with the football. You know, they understand what they want to do offensively. He's got a great understanding of what they want to get accomplished offensively, and you know, he gets the ball out quickly, and he's efficient, and it's going to be a big challenge, you know. And really, I'm not trying to stand up here and build up a team that isn't. They're a great team offensively. They're really, really sound and aggressive defensively, and in the kicking game, it'll be one of the best special teams groups that we play all year. Their punter was the best punter in the nation last year, you know, and showed it in our game. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge, but our focus is more on us than our opponent. We got to get things corrected within our schemes and our execution, and we will.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the fans Saturday, I guess? Obviously, maybe what you think about this coming Saturday in terms of the fan base coming out to support a program that really hasn't been used to losing much over the last couple of seasons.
Well, you know, we've got the greatest fans in the country, and you know, I haven't put a whole lot of thought into nothing's crossed my mind that they wouldn't come out and support us this Saturday like they did this past game. You know, our season tickets are at an all-time high. Again, the crowd was, I thought, into the game and there early, and again, in my mind, they'll be like that again this week. We need them to be like that again this week, and we're looking forward to it. And again, it's, you know, we've got tremendous support from our fans, and you know, it's been like that really in the last couple years, and it's come with winning, you know. But again, I would hope that and assume that based on one game, all of a sudden now, they wouldn't come back and support us. I expect them to be there and can't wait to see them on Saturday night. Any other questions? All right, thank you.